Today I decided I was finally going to learn how to play killer. Now there's actually a few reasons for this. Over the past 2 months I answered the question, if I ever were to play killer, who would I choose? And my answer was always the trickster. But you see, what finally pushed me to the other side is seeing the new collection event. As you see, I have red hair, and the biggest issue with survivors is there's no males with red hair. But with the new collection event, we got this skin here, so with more money than I'll ever make doing YouTube, I bought the skin. Now, a lot of planning went into picking my perks for the trickster, and by that I meant, hey Ava, what are the 4 best perks for a trickster?
Absolutely. For the trickster in Dead by Daylight.
The first thing I noticed as soon as I loaded into the game is, and of course I've always known this because I played Survivor and you hear it, is that killers see within the first person perspective, and after 60 hours of only playing Survivor, it felt like culture shock. I got a little lucky and I did find a Survivor right off the bat, and you can just see instantly, I'm like, oh wow, okay, what is going on here? I did realize how to throw the blaze, and because of FPS shooters, I felt like my aim wasn't all too bad, but after looking at this, I think I could have used those differently. And it wasn't until halfway through the map that I actually realized that Trickster needs to reload these and they're not unlimited. This first round, actually, this was like the only easy hook I got the entire round. And the rest was basically just me trying to find people, as I found that the hardest part playing the trickster or killer in the game is purely aura reading abilities. I just had such a hard time finding anyone. So like, of no surprise to anyone, including myself, the first ever round was more of just me gaining my bearings, learning what controls are. Also worth mentioning, I decided I was going to play killer on mouse and keyboard versus controller like I did Survivor. So even simple inputs, I had to like figure out, okay, what was the button for? But yeah, they all got out. But second game went a lot better. The second game went a lot better because I was actually winning chases. These survivors weren't nearly as good at looping me when I did manage to find them. But once again, still the issue was that it just took me forever to be able to find any of these survivors once I did. But drastic differences of now knowing the controls, knowing how to reload my knives, and also even discovering the ult. Playing against Trickster, I've always seen him do this frenzy, and that whole first round and half of the second round here, I was always wondering, like, oh, it feels like Trickster was throwing these out a lot quicker when I was going up against him. It wasn't until halfway through this round I discovered that I can go in some frenzy range called the main event and just load the knives out. For the second round here, we managed to secure 3 kills with 1 person escaping by the hatch. For our third and final round, I now knew all the controls, I knew about my abilities, and I even knew how to activate main event. So I'm not going to talk as much during this third round, but I'll chime in every once in a while. Enjoy this match. I think a big difference in this third round was simply that these survivors weren't really hiding. When I came around to a gen, I could just find someone, and I was often getting people with exchanges. When they were getting one person off the hook, I was able to quickly get there and then find one of them still. And you can see, like, I was actually hitting a lot of my knife shots here. Now, let me know in the comments if you guys agree or don't agree, but I will say that the one thing Trickster lacks is that he doesn't have map pressure where he constantly can't find his opponents. However, one thing that I did find that he's just really good on is the exchanging. If you see, like right there, they got someone off the hook, and I feel like because of his long range and how just much you can throw these out, I forgot about this with the locker. With how much he can just throw those knives out, it's so easy to catch people when they're trying to unhook their friends. Shaq I had a really hard time with, and I was getting looped in the other 2 rounds in Shaq and as well in this round. Luckily for me, she did leave the chase. I did have a perk on where if they fast vaulted over, that the window or the vault would get sealed off, but I don't think it ever came in effect. Here was the final person that I just managed to get as they were trying to vault over, getting the hatch. So this last game ended up being a 4-man. So thank you guys for watching. Comment any tips that you guys have, and if you want to see more killer gameplay below.